It was a brilliant day in Wijk, and without further ado, we bring you the round 3 rapid recap. Fiona, we could make no other choice than a game between Daniil Dubov and Vidit Gujrathi.
Indeed, an early front runner for game of the year, not just game of the tournament. And let's see, it started off quietly with an Italian game. Daniil Dubov, he can play anything, he will play anything, but he soon sprung the first surprise.
Right here, he played bishop g5, which is not the most common move, instead castling for white or other variations, but instead bishop g5, and after h6, he retreats his bishop. And Fiona, right around here, knight a3, what an odd choice.
And Vidit talked about it after the game. Knight a3 was the first real surprise of the game for him. After some thought, he decided to take the knight on a3, always a double-edged decision.
Yes, white gets the bishop pair, but also a ruined pawn structure here on the queen side. But the game started heating up where Vidit, he was a bit self-critical about the move knight to b8, but it worked out in his favor as he reroutes the knight to d7. And here, Fiona, this is where it gets spicy.
Indeed, g5, kicking back the white bishop, and Vidit now deciding to take the pawn on e4, which is going to, of course, open up all the lines in front of that uncastled king on e8.
As Vidit said, this is modern chess for you. He takes this pawn on e4. It attacks the bishop. It attacks the pawn on c3. So Dubov plays queen c2. We see another brilliant choice, pawn to f5. If my king's going to be in danger, let's put in all the danger it can handle. And after de5, we saw a trade, rook to e1, knight takes bishop, pawn takes e4. And Fiona, we saw g4. Things are heating up. And how did Vidit handle this?
Vidit handled things incredibly well. He was already, the time was ticking down, but Vidit just started playing chess. He now just ignored this g4 push, jumped with the knight into c5. Dubov doing the same, bringing his own knight forward via d4, and rook f8, admitting, I'm never going to castle kingside. That was off the table for a while already. But that rook on f8, Robert, soon started playing a very important role, because what was Dubov about to uncork here?
It was a heroic piece indeed. We saw gf5, bishop f5, and now this was the first humongous shot of the game. Rook takes b7. The point being that after knight takes b7, bishop b5 is check to the miserable king. If you go king to d8, you walk into a fork. Knight c6 check is a problem. You lose your queen. If the bishop returns to d7, rook takes e4, guess what? White wins your queen again. That leaves you with one other option, king f7. White snaps off this bishop on f5, hits the queen, hits e4. The bishop can come back to c4. h6 is under attack. e4, as mentioned, is threatened. This would have been bad news for Vidit. So Fiona, instead of capturing a rook, we don't have to immediately recapture pieces just because they took ours. What a move Vidit played here.
He took some time. We were incredibly worried. You don't want to find yourself in this position against Daniil Dubov, who's just sacrificed a piece. But Vidit Gujrathi, he played the incredibly calm and cool rook f6, which turns out to be the only move in the position.
I wish I could give that like 3 exclamation points. And as we were just seeing in the previous variation, that when this bishop came to b5 with check, the king got in the rook's path. But with the rook here, now knight takes b7 is in fact a threat. And Dubov said, threat, what are you talking about? Let's play queen to b1. The knight took the rook, the queen swooped into b7. And here's where everything broke loose. Rook d8, knight f5, rook f5, and Fiona, from a distance, perhaps Dubov didn't see Vidit's saving grace here.
Indeed, it looks like the black king is in a lot of trouble. All the pieces are swooping in. We are skewering the queen and the king. Rook e5, the move you want to play immediately, it doesn't work, Robert.
No, it does not. You'll see that evaluation bar go sky high because queen c6 check ends the story here. If the king were to go to f8, queen takes h6 with check. The queen can go to h8 with check, pick up a rook in the center of the board. Had the rook blocked on d7, queen g6 check. If king f8, we just told you what it would happen. Queen h6, queen h8. Actually, queen g8 is mate in 1. What am I talking about? I can't see the obvious. But instead, king d8, the point is queen g8 check, queen blocks. No, we don't trade queens. We do it on our own terms because the bishop defends the queen on g8. We stole a rook in the center. That means white would have been a piece ahead.
And maybe the move that Vidit played and that Dubov might have missed from a distance, the saving grace, rook d1 check, freeing up that all-important d8 square for the king. Dubov here stepped out of the check, and now rook e5 is a different story.
Completely different story. As you mentioned, the d8 square is vacated. King f8 would have run to the same exact problem with the check and queen h8 winning this rook in the center. So king d8, and the fireworks just really started continuing. Queen a8 check, king to d7, bishop b5 check. That king goes up to e6. We'll give it another check, why don't we? The king steps to f6, and now after queen h8 check, it's not losing because of the move king to f5, Fiona.
Incredible stuff. What a king run by Vidit Gujrathi. And here, is it the moment where Daniil Dubov finally took the wrong step, Robert?
It was. He made the move f3, which I can understand because rook takes e5, queen takes e5 is a check to the king, a check to the queen. That would force the queen trade, and black is up a rook for a bishop. So instead of these moves, the only move was queen c8 check. I can forgive Daniil for missing this because king takes e4 is not possible. Queen g4 check, you see the bar go up. King to d5, it is not queen takes rook. That's the move that we were all thinking, no, it is queen c4 check. The king has only one square, and this is sort of a smothered mate. The rook and the queen, they block the king's access to free squares. That is check and mate on the board. So that is what Daniil Dubov missed, and Vidit was missing nothing after that was not played.
Yeah, f3, Daniil Dubov taking a wrong step, and Vidit was just clinical from here on out with the king that has been all over the board already, now running for a safe haven. All the way in the white camp, it's heading for c1. That's why Daniil, he didn't try to give another check because the king would go to d1 and finally to c1 when there is no more checks in the position. So instead, Daniil tried bishop c6, but now all that was left to do for Vidit was to put the finishing touches on this position.
And he made it look easy. He pushes his pawn to g4. One last check, king d2, and that is where the game concludes because queen f2 check, even queen e2, forcing the queens off the board because the white queen is pinned to the king. That would end any debate because black is up that rook for the bishop. And we're going to end our game here. That was your round 3 rapid recap.
An absolutely stunning game. We hope you all enjoyed this recap. And not only did Vidit win this brilliant game, it also propelled him to the lead of the tournament. He is now in the sole lead on 2.5 out of 3, followed by a pack of 5 players on 2 out of 3, among them world champion Magnus Carlsen, World Cup winner Jan-Krzysztof Duda, the fantastic Hungarian attacking player Richard Rapport, Andrei Esipenko, who beat his fellow countryman Sergei Karyakin today, and of course the defending champion Jordan van Verweest, who will be playing against his boss Magnus Carlsen tomorrow. Robert.
Yeah, he's going to say tomorrow, you're not the boss of me. That was a one-time deal only for the world championship. But Jordan said it's always a pleasure to play against the world champion. I'm sure they did some sparring, some training games as part of the preparation for the match against Jan Nepomniachtchi. But there are 6 other games that look equally fascinating. Fiona, in particular, Vidit Gujrathi, white pieces. He's the tournament leader. He takes on Andrei Esipenko, who now has 2 out of 3 after beating his compatriot, Sergei Karyakin.
Indeed, both of them will be coming fresh of a win. They will be eager to keep the run going. And I think tomorrow is also an interesting day because it is the last day before the rest day, which is coming up in just 2 days. So it's always curious to see how much are the players willing to risk. So a lot of new storylines to follow tomorrow. We will be back same place, same time. It starts at 2 p.m. Central European time. That's 5 a.m. Pacific. Robert, what a day it has been. Thank you so much to you. Thank you so much to the chat. Thank you for watching us. And Robert, I'll leave you the final words.
Well, it felt like 3 days in one, and there were 4 decisive games, so we had a treat. Wijk brings out the best in many players, and it's just such a fun tournament filled with the who's who of chess, the top-rated players in the world, some youngsters like Praggnanandhaa. It was not his day today, but tomorrow the sun still shines. He gets to come back to the board and try his best and try to get another win, or not another, he hasn't had one yet, but another in his illustrious career already at just 16. So Fiona, thank you so much for joining me. I know it's been a long day, but day 4 should just be even better than the great day 3 we just had.
I'm certainly looking forward to it. I'll see you then. I'll see you all in the chat tomorrow. Have a good one. We'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.